2 million, 3 million, 4, and just 5 years, 40 million more. You are now looking at the 40 million bar. I rate for Tef Channel on the 100 million man. R-O-C. That's where you wrong.
Yo,
what's going on?
We were supposed to do 2 or 3 of these a week, dude.
Yeah, we got to get in the groove.
That's your fault.
What is it my fault for?
It's your fault. I mean, you can't. You're over 30 now,
right?
Right. You can't go down to Orlando on a Saturday for a Monday night game.
Right.
Go hard for 3 straight days.
I went hard,
and you still sound like crap.
I mean, I got a little.
And it's 3 days later after the game, and you still sound terrible.
I'm a little stuffed up. I got a little sick. It's not because I went partying for 3 days, but I will say I learned a lot. Learned a lot about myself.
Yeah.
I ain't got it like I used to have when 25. I was in my 20s. When I was 20, I could go out drinking all night, rebound, do whatever I needed to do the next day. You know what? I hibernated. Like I didn't wake up. Actually, I couldn't feel my face on Saturday night. I don't know what happened. I drank a lot of scotch. And then on Sunday, I got to my hotel room safely by myself, thank God. And I woke up about 1 o'clock. Shook myself off a little bit, got after it again, went strong, picked up my boy from the airport. Probably shouldn't have done that, but picked him up safely, and then got after it in the tailgate. Actually, the only thing that made me feel better during the tailgating, you know what would help? More drinking.
So was there water buffers?
Oh, I had water. I had some water now.
Okay.
But I also was drinking. You know, when I started feeling sick. A great bartender. This is what her name was Ashley. I want to believe her. I'm gonna give her a shout out at Corona Cigar Lounge, and she was just like, you know what, you sound like you're getting sick. Let me give you a hot toddy. Here's some tea, little mint. And it was looking good. She's got the little lemon squeezer, squeezed the lemon in there, and she said, I'm gonna give you some honey bourbon.
Oh,
and put it in that thing. Whew. Gave me about 5 of those. Don't know if it helped.
5 of them.
I had about 5 of them before the night was over. They were delicious. They were very good.
Well, you know, normally we start the show off with Manco violations.
Right.
And we're going to do it again, but it's kind of already been handled, big dog.
Oh, yeah.
Derek Fisher,
man,
had maybe the ultimate man code violation.
Let me tell you this right here. This goes back into people. You got to go listen to SoundCloud, listen to the past shows. You know, light skin, dark skin, you'll see the debate and everything that we've been going for. Light skinned dudes are still paying back taxes from 2015. They had a great year. Drake beat Meek Mill. Steph Curry won the NBA championship, won the MVP, beat LeBron. 2015.
Oh, 2015.
They're paying back taxes from having too good of a 2015.
Oh, I follow.
All these light-skinned people were just taking over.
I got you.
And then all of a sudden, you know, they're coming in. All the light-skinned people were having a good year. In 2015, 2016, they're paying a little bit back to the piper.
It started off
D-Fish
rough.
is getting it.
It started. Cam Newton started.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that's when you knew, oh, dear. Because he didn't just lose.
Oh, yeah.
He then proceeded to,
lose his
around
mind
like a fish out of water.
Lose his mind.
Yeah. And then Derek Fisher decided, hey, I think it's a good idea if I, let's see, court. Can we say court?
A teammate's wife.
A teammate's wife.
Actually, a friend's wife.
Yes.
That's why I told you guys. Like, listen.
That's the ultimate, dude.
If you're listening, world, it's a couple things you don't let your wife around. Any significant person, don't let them around a light-skinned man. Because they cannot be trusted. Especially don't let them do basketball lessons. Light skinned dudes, they try to they can sing, they dress weird, they're winning right now. You got to keep your wife away.
Wait, is Westbrook light skinned?
Westbrook is in that other range. He's a little he's in that OBJ fairy range.
Oh.
So you don't really have to worry about him.
Oh.
You don't really have to worry about him.
I was talking about the dressing weird.
No, I'm just saying the dress, but he dresses weird, but I question him, but I don't give him a hard time. You know why? Because he's MVP caliber. Just like OBJ.
Steph Curry's MVP.
Yeah, but Steph Curry not dressing in he's not wearing capris.
I got you. Okay, I got you. I feel like you need to give me like a indicator of what is light skin and what is not light skin. Like, is there a measuring stick? Is there?
Oh no, they're all light skin, but it's like a variety. It's like if you see a light skin, true heterosexual male, I just do not trust my missus around them.
But how light is light skin?
Oh, it varies. I understand what you're saying. Now. Like, all right, so you have the Stephen Currys who are like Twilight.
Right.
Like Drake, like you don't really know.
Like what Sammy Sosa's trying to get to.
Yeah, we really don't know what complexion they are. They could be white, they could be black. Depends on the day. Depends on how much sun they've had.
All right.
Then there's Derek Fisher, who has more of a yellow tint. Like Derek Fisher, he's clearly well, I mean, he's clearly, you can clearly tell that he's black. But he's not, he ain't Shaq's complexion.
Well, give me somebody that's borderline.
I'll give you Russell Wilson's borderline. He's brown. But some of his actions and his antics make him he's very emotional. You know, he's.
So are you telling me that light skin is as much a way of life as a look?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
There, like if you see like a dark skinned guy.
Yeah.
Who's the ugly dude for Golden State? I can't think of his name.
Draymond Green.
Yeah, Draymond Green. If he wasn't so dark, he has very light skinned tendencies. Like that whole loving to grab another man's nuts and being extra soft and sensitive. That could be considered a light skinned tendency.
What about?
But then there are some bad light skinned men, like Colin Powell.
Yeah,
might be like go in the Hall of Fame of the baddest ass light skinned men to ever walk this earth. He's got to be in there.
So you think there should be a light skinned Hall of Fame?
For people like Colin Powell.
There'd be one person.
No, there's like a couple people. There, Huey Freeman. There's some guys in that thing right now. Depending on who you are, Colin Kaepernick is really is holding the flag for some light skinned people right now. But anyways, but I still, even Colin Kaepernick, you know what I wouldn't trust him around?
What?
My significant other, Alden Smith.
Yeah, you're right.
Saw the man's car in half because of that, because of Derek Fisher type things. But you know what? Karma has come back for taxes against guys like Derek Fisher.
That judge lit his butt.
I didn't see the picture of the judge, but you know what I automatically assumed? What? I automatically assumed the judge was dark skinned. Had to be. Had to be jealous, had to be mad about all the different things, the dark skinned jokes that he got from the light skinned kids growing up. The fact that he couldn't dribble as well as Derek Fisher. The fact that Derek Fisher has five rings. And the fact that he turned down a wife that was actually hot for a wife for somebody else's wife who's hot, but and so he charged him. He said, "What is the price for somebody who has too much?" And you know what he came out? $109,000
a month.
Yeah, that's it, right? Yeah,
$109,000 a month in spousal support.
Ain't no vagina in the world worth that much. I'm sorry. I love my wife, but dog, if I pay you $109,000, you know what I should be able to do? At least thrice a month. I put it because it could be two, could be three, could be more. I should be able to come and hit it whenever I want to.
See,
if I'm paying you $109,000,
come on,
dude. If I'm paying you,
if I'm paying $109,000, I should be able to do whatever. It better be a house.
This one, I better be able to do whatever I want to do for you. Okay, she's moved on. You're dating, cool, not a problem. Excuse me, bro. I paid for this. I put a down payment on this, bro. Hey, I won't get my money's worth out of this.
Here's the thing: is Miss Former D-Fish, if she gets married, is an idiot. I hope he has to pay this the rest of his stinking life, because that is the most blatant man code violation ever. You can't do that.
So I say all those things with kind of tongue in cheek because I don't feel sorry for him.
No, I don't feel sorry for him at all.
You don't go after your teammate's girl. There's a lot of girls in this world that you can go after.
You just if it has a ring on, just step away.
Oh, definitely.
Period.
I definitely agree with what you're saying.
Yeah, there's plenty of girls,
but even more so. If it's for a perfect example, we were just down in Orlando, and I'll go ahead and put some of the stuff out there. I seen a lot of my teammates. We had a lot, and I also seen a lot of people that
be careful.
It was like the thoughts of past and present.
Oh dear.
So we saw young ladies that, and not every woman is that, but we saw some young ladies that we kind of knew, but none of them were each other's girls.
Okay.
Were each other, like there was no property or anything like that. So bottom line is, you knew that what you could and what you couldn't do. It's different if it's in that situation. But D-Fish clearly went after somebody, OPP.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
Other people's property.
Yeah, I don't know what he's making these days, but I mean.
He still has a severance from New York for coaching. I think he's still getting paid a little bit from L.A. because you got to remember, it wasn't that long ago that he was playing. He was one of those guys that went from playing.
He was trying to make a comeback. He was talking about coming back.
That's because he knew it was $109,000 a month he was facing.
Get some
and the thing that kills me is this: and granted, $15K for child support is still a lot of money. That's Cromartie style numbers almost.
Yeah,
but still, like $109,000 for the wife. Most of the times, the judge like goes in favor for the kids and not just the wife. But this is why I think it was a dark-skinned man, because he was sticking it to D. Fish for breaking all kind of man code violations.
Yeah, well, I mean, whatever, D. Fish, you deserve it. You absolutely deserve it. I'm glad. And that may be a man code violation that I'm committing there by being glad, but so be it.
Nah, it's the universe writing itself.
Yeah, well, couple other things real quick, and then here's what we're going to get into today. All right.
Oh, jeez.
We're going to get into it's NFL Week 1.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to get into that, and what the question we're going to ask each other is what 3 teams' fan bases are going to be just absolutely devastated after Week 1? Who's got their hopes up so high, and they're going to be knocked back down to reality? So we're going to get into that in just a second. We're going to get into, we've avoided this. By the way, we're so bad at this. This is Straight Talk No Chaser podcast.
They can't tell. We kind of went right into the talk.
It. Yeah. Denny Thompson, James Coleman, coming to you from the beautiful 1010XL studios in Jacksonville, Florida. We're also going to get into something we've been avoiding on our radio show, like the play.
Right.
And it's just gotten to a point now where it's unavoidable.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not as controversial as it was when it started, I don't think, and that's Colin Kaepernick.
Right.
And I think we're going to come at it a little different angle. So we're going to get into that as well. I want to follow up this man code thing with a story. Remember last week I told you about the guy who cheated on his girl?
Right, the lady who she wanted some hot sausage.
Yeah, and
literally.
So while he was asleep, she lit his package on fire.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Can I one-up myself on that?
Yeah, let's do that. Let me hear what you got here.
All right. Picture this. Man goes home with a woman.
Okay.
They're doing their thing.
Typically.
Woman tells man that she wants him to make eye contact while they're doing their thing.
Oh, man.
Okay. Now, let me show you a picture of the woman first who's saying this.
Dude, that's not a real story.
It is.
You can't be, man.
Okay.
And she got her eyes are looking everywhere and nowhere at the same time.
He doesn't make eye contact.
How?
I guess his eyes were closed. So, woman gets up from the bed, grabs a kitchen knife.
Ouch.
And slices
Makes him a
it
sandwich?
off.
Oh, slices it off.
Off.
Wow. Ouch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Here's the part that I just don't get.
Okay.
She's been charged with assault with a deadly weapon.
Mm-hmm.
She's out on bail. If somebody does that, what do you think their bail should be?
$500,000.
$15,000. She's out on $15,000 bail.
You know, even the first offense still doesn't make sense. You attempted to take my life. To me, that's a major artery down there.
Yeah,
you cut that, I mean, it could be some bleeding. I could bleed out.
I mean, $15,000. Like, I read through the story and thought, man, this is kind of crazy. And you're right. The picture, like, she's got, I'm looking at the picture and I can't tell if she's looking at the camera or somebody to her left, or I don't know. There's a couple of lessons learned here. One, just keep the lights off.
Yeah.
And two,
if you can't,
if somebody gets up and goes to the kitchen in the middle of that, and you don't know her and she's angry at you, leave.
I mean, just don't mess with cross-eyed chicks.
Just leave. Just leave.
I mean, it's one of those things that I have a, hard time, dealing with things like that, like cross-eyed, because I have to say something.
Man, come on. I mean, I know a lot of people who are cross-eyed who are great people.
That doesn't mean they're bad. I didn't say she was a bad person.
She is a bad person.
Funny story though. My brother-in-law will probably hate me for this, right?
Oh,
so
see.
my wife's god sister, not like me, who has 20,000 god brothers.
Yes, you do.
This is literally her god sister. So I think she's actually engaged and she has a kid by this guy. So I wonder if is it a hereditary thing? Cross-eyed?
I don't know.
Okay. Anyways, whatever. So he has a cross-eyed. And
I mean, I can Google it.
It's at my wedding. We've all had enough to drink because we had an open bar. We're all hanging out afterwards, and my brother-in-law is standing next to my godbrother, okay. And he's like, I can't believe this. He's like, yo, what's going on, Miles? What do you mean you can't believe? in 2009, with all this technology, we have a black president. They have they've cured all these diseases.
Right.
And he's like, where are you going with this, Miles? And there's still people out here with cross eyes. And he doesn't realize that, like, where I am to you is my wife's god sister's fiance.
Who's cross-eyed?
Who's cross-eyed. My god brother's right here, like to the left. And he's like, yo, Miles, stop. No. Nah, man. This really bothers me. With all this stuff, we put a man on the moon. And we can't fix cross-eyes?
I feel like nobody's raising money for that study.
It's sad, man.
It is.
We got all these other
things. That could be something we get behind, James.
It's all these things out here that are very righteous causes. We do need cancer awareness. We need testicular cancer awareness. We need the what's the thing where the ice bucket challenge. We need all these things too. They're very good causes. But man, we probably do need to raise awareness for cross-eyed people. And it's not bad. It's just that actually, you know what? You know who'd be perfect? The girl from Jamaica who won the 100 and the 200. Like, she set precedent. Like, she is the first got to be the first Olympic champion to ever win that was cross-eyed.
But you know
I
what?
had no idea what she was looking at. But it's an unfair advantage.
It is. That's what I was going to say.
When she's running the 200, she can lean in the curve and see what's going on and see exactly what's going on, what her competition is doing. It's an unfair advantage.
While she keeps her head straight. She should get her medals taken back. That's like a performance-enhancing drug. Wow.
So maybe cross-eyed people do have some benefits. Apparently, they can run very fast if they're Jamaican. But again, like, imagine her coming out there saying, you know, there's a problem facing 1 out of every 25,000 children in America or in the world, and that's degenerative eye slantness. Or something like that. I don't really know. It's a serious issue, man. You're over here laughing, man. This is dude, stop. I'm dead serious, man. But anyways, like, my brother-in-law was very passionate. My brother-in-law was very passionate and did not realize, he was very drunk and did not realize that there was a cross-eyed person directly in front of him. And the guy obviously was drunk because he didn't get offended.
Wow. Okay. Can we get to the NFL?
Speaking of cross-eyed, there's some fan bases.
All right, week 1 of the NFL is on us. Right? Mm-hmm. And here's the thing is, we live in a city that is the off-season champions every year.
At least this year.
The last several years we're the off-season champs, and fan bases, I'm going to assume everywhere because they do it here, build themselves up into, hey, this is our year. Right. You think Cleveland still does that? No way, right?
I think, to be honest with you, I think RG3 has given them hope.
Oh, dear. Okay. Well, okay, so let's just assume that every fan base, 32 of them,
right,
they're going in to this weekend going, this is our year. We got a chance. If this falls and this falls, I mean, heck, we're in Jacksonville hearing that they could get 12 wins. I mean, that's how crazy it is.
And that's a lot of people who've been going to Wicked Barley and enjoying the chocolate milk beer, which has 7% alcohol.
Like you enjoyed earlier.
Like I enjoyed earlier.
Yes. So this is the week where a lot of these are going to get really deflated. Yeah.
Some of them are going to be anticipating it, and they know it's part of being a fan of that fan base is to be disappointed. But then there are some that are just going to be like, this has been perfect for Scott to put in. This is like, oh no, we suck again.
Yeah.
They're going to be like that.
Yeah. Well, okay. Start me off. Who's the fan base off the cuff right now that come Monday morning?
Jacksonville. Sorry.
You took the easy one.
It's easy, and I'm going to tell you why I took the easy one. Because I've been one of the people who've been like, you know what, man, this offseason is bananas. We're going to be great. I mean, we got Malik Jackson. He's coming in here. He's doing his thing. Dante Fowler is ready to get back. We got
Jalen Ramsey.
We got 2 first-round picks for like a steal. Yep. We got Telvin Smith is here. We got all these pieces. We got A-Rob, Hearns. Then to see the way the preseason goes and now the offense still may have some firepower, but dadgummit, man.
I agree with you on Jacksonville. I do think it's going to be a bad Monday, and we do our show after the game,
right?
And we're at the official station of the Jags, and so that could be an interesting show. I agree. The Jags would have been one of mine because the expectations are so high. I'll match you on that one. I'm going to take the next team that people are comparing to the Jags, and that's the Raiders.
Okay.
And I'm going to do it for the same reason of the Jags, which is, yes, they have talent. They don't have coaching. Okay, Del Rio is more proven than Gus Bradley, yes. Right. But neither one of them have done anything that would make you justify saying that this team is going to be that good. They play the Saints, which, as you know, is my team. I'm not saying that because they play the Saints. I think the Saints are bad enough this year that when they throw 35 up on the Raiders, everybody in Oakland's going to go, oh, crap.
Now, if they throw 35 up, yeah, it's going to be bad.
Yeah, and I think it's going to happen. I think the Raiders are like the Jags. Slow your roll, let your team get a little older, and get a coach, then you'll be good.
The only difference is I think the Raiders do have some more proven pass rushers. And that'd be the only thing. I
think their roster is solid.
Yeah, the only thing I have against that. But my next
Khalil Mack may be the best player on defense in the NFL, not named J.J. Watt.
And my next team would be, even though it's kind of very difficult, but just listening to their fan base, it's just that city. The city does not understand. I think they're so starved for a winner that they'll take anything and make it successful.
Who are you talking about?
And that's the Miami Dolphins. Ryan Tannehill is not good.
No.
And Ndamukong Suh is a better actor, which he's not even that great, than he is a football player at this point right now. He's been in Ballers twice.
But let me tell you why I wouldn't pick them.
Why?
I would pick them week 2 or 3, and I don't have their schedule in front of me, because they're going to a game that they should lose. They're going to the Seahawks. Mm-hmm. Like, Jacksonville is hosting Green Bay, and yes, we should lose that, but it's here. Right. And the city's in a craze. I think the Dolphins flying all the way across country, playing a Seahawks team that's established.
Well, they're there now.
Okay, well, whatever. They still flew.
Right.
They didn't walk. They didn't run.
You're right. You're right.
So I still think that I don't know that that's going to be as disappointing. Now, week 2 or 3 could be devastating. But I can see, if I'm a Dolphin fan, I can see myself rationalizing going, okay, well, we had to go to Seattle to play, which is one of the toughest places to play. Enough with the 12th man stuff, Seattle. When y'all sucked, y'all weren't filling the stadium up. So don't sell me anymore on how great your fans are because you raised a stinking flag. I'm over that.
Well, their fans became better when they switched conferences.
Yeah, when they got good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I just had to get that off my chest. All right. So I am going to say that's 2 for you. I am going to go with the Atlanta Falcons.
Well, they sucked last year. I agree.
But remember last year it was, we have the roster, and now we're starting to hear, we got a chance, and we're going to be good. I think Tampa Bay is going to work them. I think Atlanta is going to wake up on Monday morning, and they're going to walk into the general manager's office, and the general manager is going to say to them, look, here's what I want you to do. I want you to start your draft prep because we're going to be picking in the top 5.
Because James is going to come in there and say, hey, we some dogs. We ain't no puppies. Hell yeah.
This ain't about Jameis.
You offensive line, you need to wake up. He get on you. He get on me too. When I'm a quarterback.
You got this whole speech memorized the day after it came out. Like, have you been driving around your truck playing with it in loop?
Yeah, pretty much. It's so funny. I have the hell yeah, just cut off.
You should make that your ringtone.
That is like my thing when people say you should vote for Hillary. I mean, hell nah. You should vote for Trump. Hell nah. UM's gonna be good. Hell nah. Like, all these different things is just my. I love it. It fits so many things.
Well, it's not about Jameis for me. It's more about the Falcons. I think the Buccaneers have a chance to be good. I think they're like the Jags and all that. I still think they're a year or 2 away. But the Falcons, I think that window's closed, man. I think it's over for them. The window is closed.
The fan base that I think, lastly, and this is going to be, it's kind of hard for this to be a surprise considering all the things that have happened. But
don't do it. Don't jump on the pile and say Minnesota.
Yeah, I mean, I wanted to say Philly, but it's like a no shit now thing.
Yeah, Philly knows they're terrible.
But I mean, Minnesota is just like, yo, you traded your third child to get Sam Bradford, and Sam Bradford's going to do Sam Bradford things.
Why
and
you Tennessee is going to those poor people,
and Tennessee is going to make you look bad, and I don't think Tennessee's that great. So it's just it's nothing to look forward to but winter in that mall.
I actually think Tennessee's got a chance to be decent. I don't think they're that bad. I don't think they're as bad as what people think they're going to be.
I still think they're the 4th team in the division, so that's not really that great.
Do you?
Yeah, I don't think they're better than the Jags. So that means they're not better than the Colts or the Texans.
That's true. No, that's a fair point. A lot of people picking the Jags, by the way, to win the South. I saw like 3 or 4 of them today. I mean, I don't know. We live here. Maybe we're immune to it, but I don't see it. I'm going to give you the last one. And it's going to happen tonight. We're recording this on a Thursday. It's going to be the Denver Broncos.
But I wanted to say them too, but it's just like all right, so it's hard to say this because Denver set themselves up for failure, which is already tough to come back after a Super Bowl. Philly set themselves up for failure.
How did Denver set themselves up for failure?
They don't have a quarterback.
Okay. They
got rid of the one guy that could give them something and let him go to Houston. Mark Sanchez was in the battle. They got rid of him, and then it's a rookie, isn't it?
Yeah, it's Trevor Siemian.
And it's not even the high one they drafted.
No, it's not Paxton Lynch.
So I mean, like right now their defense is going to still be good, but I just don't put any faith in a rookie quarterback.
Here's why I'm saying them is because they're counting on their defense, and I think Von Miller is that guy. I think he is. I think he's. But you know what Von Miller is now?
Weird.
Paid.
Oh yeah,
paid.
He's that too.
Yeah, and now he's coming off of a Super Bowl. He's fat and happy, and he's paid, and everything else crazy paid.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, DeMarcus Ware's getting old, bro.
Akeem Talib, they're trying to trade him.
Yep. I mean, you look at this now. Offensively, they still got Emmanuel Sanders and Demaryius Thomas and C.J. Anderson at running back, and they still got an good offensive line. By the way, Russell Okung, we talked about this on our show. He doesn't have an agent. He represented himself, got the worst deal in the history of football. But at least he's got one thing going for him.
What's that?
Do you know he had zero guaranteed money?
No, I didn't know that.
Zero. Not a penny. But as long as he's on the opening day roster, and this is an all-pro left tackle, mind you, so that was a free agent.
Be on the opening day roster.
He gets $2 million guaranteed. Russell Okung, you have just proven why football players need agents.
Yeah.
In fact, that whole theory of a 3% cap, you just helped the agents go, no, that needs to go away. We need to be at like a 5% cap because we're very valuable.
To be honest with you, the agent could have made him enough money to where that would have been the agent's cut.
Oh, absolutely. Russell Okung should have gotten at least $20 million guaranteed as a left tackle.
Easy.
Yeah.
So he's only making $2 million this year, or is just $2 million guaranteed?
No. It triggers a $2 million roster bonus.
Okay.
Is what it does. And then, I'm going to throw one in. We've both done 3, but I'm going to throw one in just because I can. And that's the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas, you're going to come down. Dak Prescott is a preseason All-American, and he's going to get in a real game, and he's going to figure out, they're blitzing me now. They're changing coverages.
The only thing I think is going to save him is that they actually have a running back that can run, and he actually has home run threat ability.
They had that last year.
No, he was not what they had the year before.
No, he wasn't what they had the year before.
So what I'm saying, they have what they had the year before. What I'm saying
is when Tony Romo has gone down, they have stunk.
Right.
Absolutely stunk. And they have completely ruined this window that they had with this offensive line.
But I think what Dak Prescott brings to them is the ability to do play action and one guy who's just going to look down the field and chunk it, which keeps defenses a little bit more honest.
All right, fair enough.
But I mean, I don't think they're going to be any good, but I just don't think that. I mean, I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. So maybe they will. Maybe they were smart like Fox.
Hey,
they realize they are going to get a top 5 pick next year.
Yeah, that's true. Jerry Jones is a boss, by the way. I'm starting to I used to not like Jerry. I used to think he's that power-wielding guy who can't get his hands out of everything.
Mm-hmm.
I'm jealous of the dude now.
He's Donald Trump in the NFL.
He is. I know I'm not even the money guy.
Not the president type. I'm talking about like the reality TV show version.
Have you seen this new practice facility?
Oh, it's going to be gorgeous.
It is gorgeous. It's open.
Oh, it's open.
It's open. They played high school games in it.
That's what I was. It's like 25. It sees 25,000.
It's crazy. It was $1 billion practice facility, and it was a little bit of ways, and so he was hitting some traffic. So home dude went and bought him a helicopter.
What better way to travel?
I just
aren't you supposed to be getting a helicopter?
No, I'm not getting one. I'm getting a lift to make it from a high school game to the radio station.
Well, it's practically the same thing.
I don't own the helicopter.
Well, I mean,
I can't just go, hey, Ange, go fire up the copter. I got to go to work.
I'm pretty sure he can't just say that. He has to call the pilot.
He has a pilot.
He has to arrange certain things. Like the guy has a schedule. It's just like his limo driver and his chauffeur and everybody, his assistant and everybody else.
I'm jealous, man. You know what? If I was a multi-bajillionaire, I'd own an NFL
team. Yeah, there's worse ways to blow your money.
Yeah, I mean, blow it. I mean, these teams are appreciating like crazy.
They on paper.
I want to build a stadium.
You lose money when you own it. You make the money in the sell back.
I want to design a stadium.
Well, you got to get it. You have to be able to politic.
Not if you got enough money.
Because the city's got to be able to back it and approve it.
Yeah, not if you got enough money.
Well, yeah. Shot Khan is throwing some major money around.
Yeah. All right, let's move forward on this Colin Kaepernick thing.
All right.
We've been all over the board already, so let's move forward on this. So Colin Kaepernick, we have avoided, and frankly, the reason why, and I've told you this since the very first day that it happened, the reason I've avoided it is very simple, James. It's because I can't speak intelligently about what he is protesting.
Fair enough.
Okay, and if I can't speak intelligently about the initial protest, what can I possibly say that's going to be right?
That might be the smartest thing that any white person has said about this situation. I mean, like that. I think that's actually great. I think that's smart. Like, I'm not 100% sure what he wants, and before I say anything to put my foot in my mouth, I'd rather just say nothing.
Right. And it was one of those things where you just, I don't know. I felt this way. A lot of people, I guess, didn't. The gut that I had was, all right, just let it settle for a second and see how the dust clears. Because in hindsight now, we get a little bit better view of what exactly he was protesting. I think that he handled it in a way that could have been different, in that the initial shock was, this dude's sitting down. This dude's just defiantly sitting down.
Right.
Because nobody knew what was going on. And even his very first statement was kind of like, I still don't really get it. Mm-hmm. Right? I still don't understand it. Now, since then, he's actually made a couple of intelligent statements that now somebody who hasn't been in that boat can look at and go, okay, now I understand. The bigger thing for me is we've heard more about Colin Kaepernick.
Right.
Is we found out that the guy has raised millions of dollars for different types of charities.
But and I know you do, and we go back and forth. I know you've been staying off of my social media about this, but what I always tell people, and it's not I hate to make it a race thing, but what happens is that it does become a black and white thing. And the thing that it baffles me is that what white people have not learned yet is to pick and choose before you jump and vilify somebody, mm-hmm. because Google will let you know everything that you need to know about this person. Key point, when everybody started bashing beast mode.
Yeah.
You go in, you look up beast mode, and they're like, well, he doesn't want to talk to the media. He's going to be broken in 5 years. Then you look up beast mode, and you realize, he's actually really smart, and he does
financial literacy
a lot.
Classes.
When you look up Richard Sherman is a thug, then you realize Richard Sherman has made one B in his entire life,
right? And
he is a very intelligent guy. So a lot of these people that you have misunderstandings before you actually go, and then you start looking at it, and you start realizing, instead of like just jumping on the guy, listen to him, because then what ends up coming out is that he's been helping raise money for one foundation. Mm-hmm. Then he's said, oh, well, you know what? These are my issues. I'm putting the first $1 million in my check. Then you realize that, holy crap, he's actually got a boatload of money still guaranteed. So San Francisco can cut him. You can protest all you want, but guess what? He's still paid, and he hasn't done anything to adversely affect that money. And the other part of it is you start realizing that he's literally he did that the entire preseason, and we didn't find out about it until he was
wasn't playing. Yeah,
until he was playing. And then on the other side of it, and it's not as big, you got Tom Brady, who just takes the NFL logo off of his helmet. And he's been doing it all preseason. Yeah. And it's a protest. It's a quiet protest. And
but see, and that's the thing that's bothered me is I don't think this is something that you can compare things to.
Well, no, I'm just saying
but here's my point on that, James, is now what we're starting to hear, everybody's opinions have kind of been made and all that kind of stuff. And here's where I'm going to give Colin Kaepernick credit. Is he stayed the course, and I think the initial thing that people who didn't grow up in a lifestyle like that.
Mm-hmm.
When the initial thing was, wait. You're telling me there's an NFL player preaching about oppression. And that was the initial, and rightfully so now.
Right.
Rightfully so, because if you look at it, you go, what does this dude know about oppression? But you know what? In a weird way, that's what makes it work. That's what makes it work is because he's not saying I'm oppressed. He's fighting for the people who are oppressed.
And actually, he said that, but to go to that point and then get into even some other missteps that people have made to make him get a new following and a new backing that he never had before is, so what, he's in the NFL. That's a short amount of time. Like, okay, I am much more well off than I ever was when I grew up. Does that mean because in the last 4 or 5 years that I have had, it completely negates the rest of my life growing up? So because I'm considered affluent now, I was not oppressed at any given point in my life. So when people make those statements, it's idiotic. It's just saying that you are only the sum total of what you are now. And on top of that, it flies back into the face what a lot of people say about millennials in general, saying that millennials only care about themselves. What he's doing is saying, with my platform, I choose to raise awareness about people who are oppressed. So it's kind of that double-edged sword. So that's the first part. Then again, it goes back to people doing research and not going deep enough. You find out that it wasn't new. They actually, when he went to the Super Bowl, they raised light to the fact that he was adopted he had white parents.
Right.
So then people say, well, how could he be oppressed? He was raised by white parents. What you're telling me is that so you do believe in white privilege by saying that, without looking at the fact that he was adopted from out of a bad situation. So I mean, it's a lot of things that go into it, and he is actually. I thought he was unqualified at first, but the more I started looking at it, I'm like, well, maybe he ain't the worst person to go in front of this.
Well, here's all right. A couple things is one, the oppression thing. It makes it mean more in my eyes, which it's not really who it needs to mean something to. Mm-hmm. And that I'll get to that in a second. But it makes it mean something more in my eyes that a guy is willing to take a stand and say, yeah, you know what? I'm putting it all out there.
Right.
Who's not oppressed, who has money, who has something to lose. Now, my initial thought was, yeah, okay, well, if they cut him, he's got all this money, and so what? Then the more I started thinking about it, I'm like, you know what, though? If it was some dude that didn't have anything, he would have nothing to lose. This guy's got a lot to lose. And so that's the one thing. Now, I've got a couple of questions for you on this. And, look, it's straight talk, right?
Right.
Who's going to be the first white dude to kneel? And by the way, I like the kneeling. I do think a little bit. I do think the kneeling shows a little more respect, and I do want to see respect for something that people have fought for, and I understand they fought for the right to protest. But I do like the move, and he met with somebody, and that's what I was going to
say. So the one thing so when people brought up something which it was not about, mm-hmm. They brought up military. Cool. I'll go meet with somebody in the military and we'll have an actual discussion. Since everybody is unwilling to have that discussion, we'll have a discussion. And they came up with a happy compromise. There actually already has been a white person to kneel.
Who?
Not in the NFL.
No, that's what I'm saying. But I want to know the first notable, because here's the thing. We're mm-hmm. in Jacksonville.
Right.
All right. Jacksonville is a patriotic city. Huge military mm-hmm. gathering here. Jacksonville is also the Deep South.
Right.
All right. Blake Bortles going to kneel? What's that going to cost him?
No. See, I think it does say more when it is. It says more for where the country wants to go. If everybody does, if a white person or a Hispanic or somebody non-African American does it, but it's not. That's not what it's about. I think what'll show more is a solidarity, just like the Seahawks wanted to do. I guess there could be some notable white guys. I don't really know what white guys are good on the Seahawks team. Forgive me, but
Russell Wilson.
Yeah, Russell Wilson's the only notable white person on the Seahawks. But I mean, them as a team. There was a guy with the Pittsburgh Steelers who was an Army Ranger. He's not a star player, but the offensive lineman who says like, "Hey, I back him." There have been plenty of people saying they back him, and as it goes along, we'll see where it goes. But I understand people saying have a respect and reverence for the national anthem. Now, that being, and I get that to a certain degree, what I do not like people, and this is what bothers me, being the husband of a military service woman, and having tons of friends who have served and who have been shot at, who have actually killed people, is the fact that we use military as pawns in arguments that have no bearing. This had nothing to do with military, because they fight. Yes, the national anthem has nothing about going in there storming some places. The national anthem is about America and America's brilliance. That's what it's supposed to be about. It was not about that. It's about being the land of the free. And if you don't feel like you're free, it doesn't matter who fought for you.
James, I will never fault someone who is who looks at the anthem a certain way.
Oh, no. I get it.
And so whenever I hear somebody say, hey, I wish you'd show more respect, I do too. I do too. Because when I hear, listen, we've all been there. We've all been at those events that at certain times you hear the national anthem, you get a daggum lump in your throat.
And that's I see people do it at high school games. I was in front of 65,000 on Monday, and I purposely people watched. I was in a visible view of about 15,000. And I tell you what 80% of those people were doing. Talking, laughing, drinking beers, doing all of these different things in front of the national anthem. It's not just about Colin Kaepernick taking a knee. We have seen this summer African-American athletes get ridiculed for not covering their heart, for not paying homage to the national anthem the proper way, without people even understanding the proper way to do it.
I got it. So, I understand that.
I just think it's a false sense of patriotism. What people are saying.
But I'm giving you an opinion.
No, I understand your opinion. I understand what people are saying.
It's not false to everybody. Is what my point is.
No, it's not. It's not. And it's also just like Colin Kaepernick saying, what he's doing is not to diminish what other people feel about it. It's his opinion and what he felt he needed to do to be able to shed light. And really, when other people say he could have done it another way, what other way could he have possibly done to get this much attention?
Actually, you know what? Early on, I'll admit, the thoughts that I had was, I wish he would have found another way. In hindsight, and again, I'm turning 40 this year. 20 years ago, 10 years ago, I may have been different. But oops, I just dropped the phone. But I elected this time to just kind of let it play out before I formed an opinion. And in hindsight, it's the only thing he could have done. It's the thing that, given the status that he had, meant the most. And it is a peaceful protest. I want to hit that in a second too. But I think the next step for this, and what he's been able to do, is he's been able to open eyes. If you're always going to have extremists on both sides. You're always going to have extremists that say, I've met black people that hate white people, and it doesn't matter what they do. I've met white people who hate black people. It doesn't matter what they do. Forget those people for a second. Let's talk about reasonable people. He has opened the eyes of a lot of reasonable people who look at it and go, okay, what he's doing is not about him. And that's what I thought it was at first. And when I first looked at it, I went, oh, come on, Colin. You just got beat out by Blaine Gabbert. You're trying to get some attention. That's not what it is. That I don't believe. He has proven to me, and now you're starting to see some support. Here's my worry. Is that it's going to go from a peaceful thing to something that's not so peaceful, because there's going to be people in certain communities that if they do stand, they're going to get ridiculed. Why aren't you kneeling? Why aren't you taking part in this? Why aren't you doing that? And now it's going to flip, and that's the part that I worry about is about to happen.
Yes, and that's where people have to understand. You either believe in the Constitution and what America stands for, or you don't. And yes, you can have your opinion, but I remember what I learned in civics was your rights end where mine begin. So if I choose to protest, or if I choose to stand and sing it to the loudest I can, it's my choice. And you have to respect it. And if you actually want to know, respectfully engage me in dialogue. The one thing that I hate about, especially when we get in election cycles, we have to, for some reason, our ability to adult has been tuned off to where it's either you're us against them, as opposed to having engaging conversations to where you can at least walk away with the happy middle ground. I don't agree with everything that you do. You don't agree with everything that I do. But at least we can leave and say, you know, at least I know where he's coming from.
I
can walk away, and that's the beautiful thing.
Yeah.
But people feel like, oh, I feel this way. you don't feel that way, you must be against me.
We can't be friends.
We can't be friends. And that's where, and to me, that's election cycle politics that's bleeding over into real issues. And the reality is, and what most people keep, especially a lot of these older black athletes, and what I tell people when I got a chance to watch the Ferguson riots, my mother was in my living room, my grandmother was in my living room. Right, wrong, indifferent, whether you believe Mike Brown did it, I don't really care. But when my mother sees fire, she sees hoses, she sees tear gas. She was the first person in my family to go to an integrated school. My grandmother was on the streets when all those things happened. They revert right back to that time period, and in their thought process is, how did I allow something in 2016 to happen that looks exactly eerily similar to what happened then? And that's the problem that that a lot of them, again, for people, for as much as people bash millennials, they don't seem to be trying to kick the can down the road. Yo, it is not equal. And I hate the word equality, and I'll tell you the reason why. I look at things as equity. Mm-hmm. And it's just probably the business mindset of me. Tell me that I'm worth something and show me what I'm worth, and give me the opportunity to expand my worth equally, just like everybody else, or decrease my worth. That's what people really want, is the equity in this United States that people have actually bled and fought for, and to actually feel like they can do that. And that hasn't happened. When people bring up, like Drew Brees, I was a little disappointed in Drew Brees, and I have great Drew Brees stories, and I have the utmost respect and admiration for him. And I get it. His grandparents fought in World War II. My great-grandparent, granddad fought in World War II. He came over to this country. He was supposed to be able to get a GI Bill. He was supposed to be able to get not land grant. I think that's when they first started the VA. He was denied both of those things. That's what happened. Mm-hmm. And so there have been plenty of African Americans who have fought in different things over the years. So why are you disappointed in Drew Brees? Well, it's not necessarily his. You can say you don't like it, but don't come off and bash. I'll just say it's not the way I would handle it, and just keep it moving. I think that's what a lot of people could have done. Sports talk radio all over the world, Fox, and the one thing that I kept saying to myself is the last thing that if you want to bring unity about this, the last thing that African Americans need is another middle-aged white person telling them the way that they should handle their angst. Mm-hmm. That is not the way to handle it. No. That's like me coming up and telling Paul Feinbaum, you know what? You should handle it the hip-hop way. Right. You should handle it. It's just it'll never breach. You know,
it's funny you mentioned Paul Feinbaum, because him and Shannon Sharp have been in the news the last 2 days about their responses to this.
Right.
And I heard both of them, and I actually thought Paul Feinbaum's was fairly genuine.
Yeah, I didn't think what Paul Feinbaum said was what he said when he was talking with a man from LSU was that bad. Now, when Joey Galloway was about to punch him, I think that's what he might have went over.
Well, Paul Feinbaum's mistake is speaking on something that he don't know anything about.
Right.
You can have an opinion on if that's the right way to protest something, but I can't have an opinion on whether somebody that I'm not is oppressed. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And that people are crossing that line. I am, and I'll just say it, I am fiscally and in most cases socially Republican. But with that being said, I like to think that I'm fairly open-minded, mm-hmm. and I'm not, this is it and that's it. I don't know what the solution is, though. And I think at the end of the day, that's where we keep getting stuck, is right. We keep getting stuck on somebody does something. I mean, this goes way back. Mm-hmm. I mean, Muhammad Ali even. Yes, you make strides. But where's the solution? Because I can sit here and I can speak from my own past experience, mm-hmm. and say that I can look back in my life at times where, look, I run the gamut, bro. You know this. I've been rich. I've made more money in a year than most people will make in 10, 15 years. I've been broke, where I've been down to nothing, absolutely nothing, penniless, and everything in between, right? Mm-hmm. I had the opportunity. It was my mistakes that put right. me in that. I had the opportunity to make it back. I had the opportunity to get myself back. I can't speak if somebody else has.
I think what we have to do is, and this is where, again, the beauty of what he did and the beauty of athletes more and more gaining momentum, what's happened is, oh my God, we're tired of hearing this. Let's throw some money at it, or let's do some things real quick to get them to stop. Thus the Civil Rights Act, integration, a lot of things that did not go far enough.
And then you've had a lot, and I'll just say this, you tell me if I'm out of bounds. You've had a lot of black leaders that start off with good intentions,
and then they get
money.
Exactly.
Yep.
What needs to happen is the people to actually truly. I put this on Facebook. We're the only country that will say, never forget 9/11, but then tell people to forget other oppressions that happened on the exact same soil. Mm-hmm. And it's not that you shouldn't forget 9/11,
no,
but it's the thing that you have to own up for your past transgressions. This isn't a reparations speech. I don't even know how to begin to talk about that. But what we have to do is go look into the laws, predatory lending. We have to go look into education. Shannon Sharp brought that up, but I bring this up. There's this thing called a mills rate. So like when you pay your home, there, like my son right now will have the benefit of going to better schools from me being more affluent than a kid who looks like him that grows up on the east side of Jacksonville.
Sure.
As long as my property values are high, his schools will be better because my money goes toward paying for that school. The property values aren't high on the other side of town. So until you find some kind of thing to make that more equitable, you're gonna have an imbalance in education. And yes, there are other issues that plague the black community and things like that, but I always put it as an opportunity. The only reason that I'm able to have this platform and this voice, and I will be blunt, is because I can run fast and I can hit people.
That was my question.
If I did not have that skill set, nobody would have found me to be able to put me into a private school that I went to for high school. Mm-hmm. Like somebody saw me at my second chance school be able to do some pretty good things and figured I'd be a good football player. From that, I got a scholarship. I wasn't even the best athlete in my neighborhood. There were other opportunities that presented themselves that were more illegal. There are some of the best businessmen in the African-American community that I've ever known that could do checks and balances in their head better than most accountants. The problem is they're checking balance. They're right. Doing things illegal.
Right.
And there have been studies that prove that when you bring opportunity to the hood, it changes it. The other thing is bringing people into a different environment than what they're used to. The reason why you're open-minded and it's because you've had different backgrounds that you've been able to see. Mm-hmm. What I used to joke, I am able to go to Ponte Vedra, which is an affluent area here. I'm able to go into Moncrief Ave, which I just left this morning to train in the hood because I choose to go. And when I tell a lot of my people, and my Facebook page is littered with people from all ends of the spectrum, before you form an opinion about why people act like that, bring your ass with me and let's go serve these people. And then you serve them and get to know them and then feel the same way.
Right.
And then let me bring these kids here and have some of the same opportunities that your kids have. And then let's say it's like trading places.
Yeah.
Actually, that's the perfect. You want to know to know how to change things? Let's put people in a trading places type of situation.
So the bottom line is there is no quick fix.
Not at all.
But there has to be a start somewhere. And I don't know if this is the start. We don't know how long this is going to last. I really do wish, as a show of just, I don't know, unity, that at least for a September 11th football games that everybody would stand. But it's not going to happen, and I get why. I do wish that it would almost be like, hey, look, we're going to pause this protest as a show of unity, but it's not going to happen.
Yeah, I at first was like, all right, cool. But then I looked at the date. I'm like, oh, God.
Yeah, it just kind of falls. But regardless of all that, I mean, the issue, James, is I've been thinking a lot about this, man, because I hear so much about black on black crime and all that kind of stuff. And I agree, to a certain extent. We've both been hit because of who we work with here locally, of young black kids that we work with and we care about being killed by another young black kid. Yes. But here's the thing. You know what I realized is if you look at white on white crime, if you look at white on black, black on white, black on black, bro, you and I ain't looking to kill somebody.
No.
Because we have something to go home to. We have something to lose.
Exactly. What you just brought up the best point, and this is what aggravates the hell out of me. People use the same FBI crime statistics platform, and it does say that. It is not a lie. It is true. It is an epidemic. Crime itself is an epidemic.
Yeah.
What happens is those same statistics say that if you're white, you're more likely to be killed by a white person because you live near white people. You're the only group that goes across the board in that same statistic that does not get the publicity is that you're more likely to have a violent crime committed to you by a 24 to 35-year-old white male.
Yeah. Across
the board. And it's still not even that high. It's still not that high. The thing is that if we just the media, what we have right now, and I have to be careful because we are the media now. Yeah. The media finds the narrative that they want to tell they manipulate it and they put it in front of you over and over and over again to where you have a fear of somebody that you don't even know. It happens. It happens in every generation that somebody has to be the villain. And I think if we want to change things first, let's stop trying to paint the other person as a villain.
Well, there you go.
And let's try to paint each other as American citizens, especially if you want me to be an American and you want us all to be American, let's start treating people as Americans. Because the only time that I've ever felt as a true American is when I'm overseas. That's the time. That's actually the only time when if we didn't know each other and you saw me in Jamaica, you hear my accent, you're going to naturally gravitate toward me. The Jamaicans are going to naturally, well, especially once I start talking, they're going to say, "Oh, those are Americans."
Right.
That's the only time when we're here. It's separated because of natural biases that are perpetuated by the media.
Well, I do think the oppression thing. I can't speak for anybody who's in the black community, but I do think that it is socioeconomical as well.
Right.
I hate so bad when I see kids who just don't have a chance.
Mm-hmm.
It's not their fault. It's not their fault, and they're born that way. They don't. You've seen them, man. We work with so many that we go, man. If these jokers don't make it in football, we don't know what's going to happen. And my last point about this is you hit on a second ago. It is a thing that. It's almost like we can't change anything that's happened in the past.
Right.
And it's almost like a marriage, right? It's almost like, and I'll use my marriage as a perfect example, is I've been married 19 years. We've been together for 23 years. Right? So we've been married more than half of my life.
Right.
We're married half of my life. I've done a lot of things to screw that up, man. Mm-hmm. She's done a lot of things to screw that up. At some point, the breaking point for us was about a year and a half ago. Dude, it was done. It was over. We were done. You could throw dirt on it. But we had to realize one of two things. Either we're going to just separate and go our different ways and always hate each other and blame each other and all that kind of stuff, or what we're going to do is say, hey, we love each other. We've both made mistakes. We grew up together. We learned, and we're going to move forward, and we're going to forgive. And that's what we elected to do, and now it's the best time we've ever been married. I think on a bigger scale, that's the only way that all this can be solved is if everybody goes, look, we've all made mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
We've all made, and we all own up to them. I can't control what somebody did to any culture 80 years ago.
Right.
I can't.
Here's what you brought up the best point, and I actually said this to somebody, and because the one thing that's so dismissive, because I think sometimes I won't say white America, but just popular America looks at things as a tantrum, and it's so dismissive. Instead of like they just say, if you don't like it, leave, go somewhere else. I'm married. This is just as much my America as it is anybody else's America. So I'm going to put it as a marriage. Just because I'm pissed off at my wife, doesn't mean I'm going to divorce her and go marry somebody else. I can, but that means I don't value that relationship. So instead, and then there's other things. My wife, I know you guys y'all pretty much dated each other. You're your only boyfriend and girlfriend, and it worked out. Me and my wife had different baggage.
Right.
But guess what I had to figure out? I got to pay for things that some jerk did to her when she was 17, 18 years old.
Yep.
It's not my fault.
Yep.
But as a man that wants to make this thing work, I inherited it.
Yep.
And I have to go back and I have to take steps to make that right and show that I won't do that again. So I use that in America. Yes. No. Actually, the reality is only 1% of Americans own slaves.
Yep.
The odds are really, really high that your people didn't own slaves, but you did have some benefits to it, and there's also some laws on the books that have helped people. Own up to it. Mm-hmm. Just say, hey, there are some biases that happen. We call it white privilege, black privileges, whatever. Mm-hmm. It's biases that happen. Say, hey, I recognize it. Let's take some steps to be able to try to start moving forward. The biggest problem is nobody wants to say, hey, I own your hurt. And when I look through some of my friends' timelines, they're like, well, no, there's no such thing as that. There's no, like, dude, you're lying to yourself. Mm-hmm. Acknowledge it. Don't make somebody feel like they're crazy. And then let's do some things to set up people's success. Not everybody's going to be successful.
No.
Not everybody's going to be able to do it. But it's not about everybody. It's about, like, to me, when I look at the short term of what my family's been through since slavery, it really wasn't that long ago. I'm about 3, maybe 4 generations removed from it. My grandfather owns a house in New Jersey, but it took a lot. My grandmother didn't go to college. My mother went to college and she struggled in the hood. I'm a lot better than I'm a lot better than what my mom went through, but I grew up rough. My son should go through a much better thing. His son should go through a better thing. But what should happen is we'll just say guys like me, if you want to use an African American or whatever to say, I should have people from all kind of races trying to help make sure that my son has the best opportunity to be able to have the things. And guess what ends up
whether
happening?
he's athletic or not.
Whether he's athletic or not. And guess what ends up happening when that does that? I, in turn, want to return the favor to your kid. It's paying it forward. We talk about being a Christian nation, but we do the least Christian things. It's like don't tell me about a book that it doesn't look like you've ever opened up and tried to live it. So I mean, those are the things about it. Those are how you take the steps. It's complex in its simplicity.
Well, because we are a white and a black host, we've had so many people text in and call in during our show asking us to approach this, and we just haven't.
No,
we just haven't. It's gotten to a point now where it was like, okay, there's some momentum going with this, and I felt like I understand enough of what's going on that I could speak semi-intelligently, but I still am not ever going to tell somebody whether or not they're oppressed. I don't care white, black, or whatever. I'm just not. I'm just not, because I don't know their background. Right. It doesn't matter the color. Now, I mean, bottom line is this: is if you're oppressed, then if you feel like you're oppressed, this is my thought. Is the first thing you do is you got to look internally and go, am I doing this to myself? And if you're not, then you probably are oppressed. Right. And we've seen it. I've seen it. I work with kids all the time that flat out, James, I can tell you right now, because of their upbringing, they will always be oppressed because of their education level and their economic status. They have not gotten what people in a different economic status, white, black, or whatever, have gotten.
And I'll put this, a perfect example is a local team here, won national championship, the Reebok girls basketball team.
Yep.
This is a perfect example of perseverance against all odds on a sports level, but it shows what a lot of other people have to go through. They beat the school, Miami Country Day School, to be able to get to that national ranking. Miami Country Day School, private school, has a strength and conditioning coach that they pay $75,000 a year. They can recruit the best athletes, have the best resources, rehab, everything. These girls, Reebok girls, have 3 basketballs that they practice with. They just got a trainer this year. They had no trainer last year. They didn't even have an ice machine last year at their school. But they played at a high level. They have girls. They churn out Division I female basketball athletes, and they destroyed the competition. They destroyed it based upon the little bit that they had. Now, just imagine if it was an equal playing field. Not actually, forget what Miami Country Day School has. Just imagine if they were in, I'll just say like this neighborhood school that I have. That same talent at Atlantic Coast High School, at a really, really, should be an affluent school, really nice, state-of-the-art everything. That team would be head and shoulders. Those girls' experience would be head and shoulders above, especially if they maintain that same work ethic, which they probably would. Everything points in that direction. What I'm saying is that there are people who make it in spite of, rise above that. Don't use that as a reason to point that every other person in that neighborhood have it. That's a anomaly. What needs to happen is the community how to make changes. The community as a whole, Jacksonville or the Southeast as a whole, seeing that they have a jewel in their community and pouring into that.
I have a good friend of mine actually, and I won't mention his name because I didn't get permission to. He lived here in Jacksonville and moved to Baltimore, and I was like, "Why? Why?" He's like, "Dude, listen, as a black guy, Baltimore's so much better. There's so much more opportunity for me." I'm like, "Really?" I mean, and I'm just fessing up. And he's like, "Yeah, bro, it's not even close." And this is a guy that is not, he's educated. He works hard. He's a great guy. And I'm sitting there listening to that going, golly, man. I mean, I guess there are parts of the country that are still 15, 20, 30 years behind.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that till you told me. And then you just said in Jacksonville, and that kind of hit me again. But at the end of the day, man, I mean, I guess my opinion on the whole thing doesn't really matter, except for I'm kind of buying into what Colin's message is. I haven't yet been able to completely buy in to the way, but I'm to the way he's doing it. But at the same time, I recognize it's the best way to get his point across.
Yeah, and I think, to be honest with you, all the conversation should have it didn't have to end the way you said it. Mm-hmm. Just like, hey, I like it. Bravo. I don't like it, but that's his right.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much how it should have ended. And I'm actually glad it didn't end that way, because it's kept it on the forefront.
It's opened up some conversation.
And it's made, and then the thing is that, they've tried to vilify him.
Yeah.
But you can't, because you start to realize that, the worst thing he has on him is Alden Smith's ex. And they're saying she may be a Black Lives Matter person, maybe a Muslim, but who cares? It doesn't matter. Yeah, that doesn't matter. If that's the worst thing that he has, okay, good. There's a lot of us who have way worse things on our record.
I just hope Colin is prepared for what he has propelled himself to.
And to be consistent. That's
right. There's a lot of pressure on him now.
I'll say I was skeptical, and I'll be honest, at first, because I was like, why didn't Colin Kaepernick, that was playing in the Super Bowl, do this? Mm-hmm. Much bigger stage, a lot more.
People mature, yeah. And people.
But then again, like, that's the other thing. Like, Muhammad Ali said it perfectly. The man who views the same world at 20 as he did when he was 20 at 50 has wasted 30 years of his life. I mean, you sit there and things change. What changed me is having a son changed my perspective on a ton of things.
Well, sure. I mean, it changes everybody. It changes, or it should.
Yeah,
it should. Anyway, I think good discussion, good conversation. Listen, here's what we need you guys to do. We need you guys, if you like this, we need you guys to help us out with this and spread this around. We're getting great numbers. We're getting great response. But when we need help, we just ask.
Yeah.
Just ask.
Closed mouth don't get fed.
That's right. So just spread the word around about Straight Talk No Chaser if you like it. If you don't like it, then you don't know why you're still listening to us, because we've been going an hour and 5 minutes. So you must like it. So if you're hearing this, spread the word.
Push it out to your friends. Let them listen to it. Get clicks. Do whatever you guys got to do. We'll keep pushing it. And also, any feedback that you can give us about topics you want to hear, we greatly appreciate it.
There you go. Happy NFL weekend.
Yes, holiday.
Have fun. We're out.